Do you have questions concerning planning a Disney trip? Ask them live on the show or submit them on our website at patmdisneytravel.wixsite.com/planning. Hey, what's going on? It's a new year. DPI podcast is back in 2024 after a couple weeks off, and we are ready for a big show. Like I said, we've been gone for a couple of weeks, so we've got a lot of news. We've got a little bit of a new setup. It looks the same behind me, but a lot of different new things going on in past the camera. So if we have some technical difficulties, I guess it's just par for the course tonight. But yeah, Peter from Princesses and the Mouse Disney Travel is going to join us at some point, and we're going to do some news. We're going to have a top 3 and a Disney deep dive, so stick with us. It's going to be a lot of fun. Hi, I'm Matt. Welcome to Disney Planning Insights. Through creative content and live shows, we explain the hidden details of the Disney experience so that our clients can execute memorable adventures. Together with Princesses and the Mouse Disney Travel, we have helped hundreds of clients plan, book, and prepare for magical Disney vacations. Let our experience help you avoid common planning mistakes and maximize the enjoyment on your next Disney trip. Hey, what's going on? We are kind of working through everything right now and trying to get everything ready. If you were with us in the last couple of shows in December, we were working with the new sniper lenses from Siri. Still got those on the camera. We love them. We love them a lot. Just really, really cool lenses for what we do. As you can see, I'm using a 1.2 lens on there right now. Out of focus on this shoulder, in focus on this shoulder. It's really, really, really shallow depth of field, so interesting to use. Like I said, we're waiting on Peter from Princesses and the Mouse Disney Travel. While we're waiting on him, I'm going to touch on a couple of things real quick. Lorcana, if you are a trading card game person, trading card genre person, we are learning Lorcana. We've started a whole YouTube playlist with pack openings and introduction to the game and a lot of different things. Really, really cool. Go over to the YouTube channel, check that out. We've got the first 4 episodes up right now. The 5th episode, which will be it's going to be a pack opening, a booster box opening, is going to come up on Friday. So we're doing those releases on Fridays and Mondays. Then a couple weeks a month, in lieu of the Disney Deep Dive, we're going to talk some Lorcana. So looks like we've got a new meeting link, so that's probably why I'm not seeing him, which is cool. There we go. We'll go here. Cancel that. X. Go here. Open. Okay. Now we'll try this. Should be good now. But yeah, it's a lot of cool stuff going on. There he is. Here we go. That's always a good sign. But yeah, so check out that playlist over on the YouTube channel, the Disney Planning Insights YouTube channel, and you can check out kind of my journey in learning this game, me getting my behind handed to me in a few games, that kind of stuff. We're having a lot of fun with it, which is really cool. Also on the YouTube channel, you always have our top 3s that we cut out, our Disney deep dives, which we're going to be cutting out and posting those with some more B-roll type footage with those. And then this year we've got a lot going on with a Disneyland trip, a Disney World trip, and possibly a cruise this year. So a big 2024 as far as in-park content as well. So if there's anything that you want us to see, check out. If you want us to kind of give you tips and tricks on it, let us know. We will be in the parks quite a bit this year. Wow, look at this. Oh, that's right. You've got the new area. So you are It's not ready yet. All right. Well, I was going to ask if you are ready, but you are not because you just left the screen. So, Peter is almost ready over on the other side, and we will join him as soon as he is ready. Man, a lot going on over at Disney. I'll start on a little bit of news, stuff that we probably wouldn't necessarily touch on when it comes to the show, but for those that ran the marathon over the weekend, they had some crazy weather. The half marathon ended up being like the just short of a third marathon because of some bad weather that they had rolling in, so they changed the course, they moved up the time, and shortened it so that they could get done before the weather came in, at least the bad weather came in. It's been an interesting week, and it sounds like it's interesting down there tonight as well. So, okay. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to bring on Peter with Princesses and the Mouse Disney Travel. He is sporting his Roosevelt's attire as well. And again, we are not sponsored by Roosevelt's in any way, but we seem to be wearing it in everything that we do now. So, if you're seeing this, Roosevelt's, I mean, a discount or something would be awesome. Mr. Salvadori, how you doing?
Good, yeah. Roosevelt's, just send me like 2 shirts.
Wow, your audio is terrible, dude.
Oh, hold on. How's that?
Low. Like really low.
Low. Like really low. Hold on. Yeah, like I moved everything. I had visions of... How about now?
You're good on the actual like meter. You're low in my ear. I'll figure that out.
What if I turn up the gain?
So, no, like I said, you're good on the meter, just low in my ear. So.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Anyway, what are we doing? Yeah. So I'm in the process of switching studios to make a more dedicated space for my wife and I to work in our house, and it's going to be amazing. I've got IKEA shelves that are going to go here. I've got a whole bunch of artwork that's going to go all around here. The top of the wall is going to be the ears, like everything that you've ever seen about like my Disney area is currently sitting around me. And
just not in the area.
Right. It's like I could walk around and I could go grab my Lego castle and my Pop castle. And, here's German Mickey. I couldn't tell you where Chewbacca is right now. But he's in here somewhere.
All right. Well, we got a lot of news to get to, so I'm gonna go ahead and hit the timer on that so we can get going, because we've got 2 weeks of news to get to, and a lot of it's gonna be, I guess, maybe some double up. But that's a small picture of Matt. Okay. So let's start out with Rock and Roller Coaster. Rock and Roller Coaster is closing for a huge refurbishment, and I think it already has closed. If not, it's closing in the next couple of days. So talk a little bit about what they're doing to Rock and Roller Coaster and what this refurbishment could possibly be for as I move everything around on our screen.
So yes, first off, with the Rock and Roller Coaster closing, you are right. I believe yesterday was the last day. Yesterday was the first day closed, actually, I think. So it is now closed, and rides close like this all the time around Disney. Like Frozen's going to be unavailable like January 24th and 25th. But this is much more substantial than that, as Matt was just kind of talking about. This has been talked about for, I don't know, how long has this been on the
2 years?
Yeah, it definitely, I was going to say 2 to 3 years. So ultimately, the Aerosmith rights have kind of been lapsing for years.
Yeah.
And through whatever legal channels, Disney was kind of just limping along the aerospace pre-show theming. I think to bypass the rules, the last couple of times I've ridden Rock and Roller Coaster, they didn't actually play the pre-show for us. They just like sent us through the pre-show room. I don't know if that's similar to the last time you rode it, but the last couple of times I've ridden it, they just kind of had Aerosmith and their agent on in the background and not really doing the show. But ultimately, yeah, this is going to be a substantial closure. So the only thing that it can be is a big overhaul of the show.
Yeah, and they're talking, no timetable on this right now. Speculation is at least 6 months, possibly a year. So it's going to be a huge hole in the back of that park. With that being the only other thing back there with Tower of Terror, it's going to be a relatively huge hole in that park. So,
whoa, the Lightning McQueen Racing Academy, sir.
Well, yeah.
I know, but like now you have to walk back there specifically to go to the Lightning McQueen Racing Academy.
Yeah. And I'm gonna be so pissed when it reopens and it's, Lightning Storms Race Through Time or whatever, or Jackson Storms Race Through Time, or it's Cars themed and it just fits that area, and we've been talking about that for 3 years. So
yeah, I haven't seen. Have you seen any concept art or announcement? You got to imagine this is the big overhaul. This is the rip out all the internal stuff, or re-theme all the internal stuff, all the little, like, let's be honest, like Rock and Roller Coaster is basically Tron Light, right?
Yeah.
You launch, you go do this stuff, and then you like pass through these lit up tunnels. And so they have to change the ride experience substantially, because otherwise, with Tron coming in, they are a very, very similar ride experience, I guess.
Yeah.
So, yeah, whether it's installing a bunch of screens to make more of a show, or whether it's completely taking those gates and really making them not seem like gates, or really beefing up, I have no idea.
Well, what's crazy about it is normally when you have a big overhaul like this, you have concept art, you have something that's out there that says, hey, this is what we're doing, and it's going to be closed for a while because there's an end goal to this. With this closing, there isn't an end goal, so I'm interested to see kind of what comes out, what leaks, and that kind of stuff, so we know kind of what's going to be in store for us when the ride reopens. Going over to Disneyland, Magic Happens Parade, coming back February 2nd. I'm so freaking thrilled about that. My kids roll their eyes every time I say that might be the thing I'm most excited about when we go to Disneyland, is Magic Happens. I really think that's the best parade that Disney has ever put together. And that's with me seeing Dream and Shine Brighter in person. Magic Happens is absolutely unbelievable. Wondrous Journeys is also coming back for a special presentation between March 22nd and April 14th. We're going to miss that by a little bit. So Wondrous Journeys was the 100th celebration fireworks display that they put on for the park last year. So it's coming back for a special encore for about a month later this year. Genie Plus, to nobody's surprise, hit super high records over the Christmas holiday and sold out, and yeah, it's not going away because people buy it. Good luck.
Yeah, that's the biggest thing, right? When you and I talked about Genie Plus being a brand new thing, we sat there talking about the only chance to this is if nobody buys it, just deals with the lines, and then hope that Disney brings back the free service. But not only are people buying it, it has almost doubled in price since its original launch, and people are still buying it.
Yeah. In peak days, it's going $30, $35. And
right. And what it launched at 20?
It launched at 15.
15 per person per day.
Yeah.
That's wild. Like,
yeah.
and I don't know. I just, as I'm talking to clients, they're like, do we have to buy this? And like at this point, I just don't know. But I hate to say the phrase to a client, yes, in addition to the thousands that you've already spent, you need to also spend another $150 per day on the individual lightning lanes as well as Genie Plus.
Yeah. It's dumb.
That takes away a whole sit-down meal for a family of 4.
Yeah. Yeah. If you have Spectrum TV or any charter group, Spectrum TV Select Plus will now get the Disney Plus basic ad-supported and ESPN Plus included with their packages. This is part of a big blowout that happened last year, and this is kind of what came of it. So if you do have charter services, especially Spectrum, and have the Select Plus packages, you will start getting Disney Plus as part of that. So we are Spectrum customers. I'm going to look at the difference in pricing, because right now I pay like $230 for Spectrum on top of the whatever per year for Disney Plus, because I just pay the per year price. So we'll see what happens with that. Disney Magic Key sales will resume on January 10th, no earlier than 9 a.m. Pacific time. They're going to glitch at noon Eastern, so just be prepared for like 3 o'clock Eastern. That's when you're going to get a chance to get your Magic Pluses. New Florida resident Disney Thrills ticket available starting January 11th. This is a super good deal. $199 for a 2-day, $219 for a 3-day. Valid January 15th through January 11th through March 15th, including weekends. So 3-day weekend for Florida residents, $219 per person for the park passes. It's $70 a day. There you go.
Yeah, the funny thing about that is I literally just had a Florida resident buy a 3-day ticket with me yesterday, and I'm like, God darn it.
And last but not least that I've got on my list, we'll see what you got on your list. Country Bear Jamboree at Magic Kingdom will close for refurbishment on January 27th.
I'm excited about this one.
I am too. New show this summer. No specific opening date provided. We're going early summer. I don't think we're going to get to see it, but hopefully... Yeah, I'd love for it to be open. It's going to be a lot of fun.
I am very excited. Country Bear Jamboree is definitely one that needed this. It was a cult favorite, a fan favorite, whatever you want to call it, favorite. But it's time for some new songs. It's time for some new costumes. It's time for the animatronics to, get a little bit more movement. I think they're the hundreds. If some of them get moved to the thousands, that would be fantastic. Not all of them. I don't expect all of them to be A1000s, but
yeah,
at least a couple, just to really get some of that movement and motion in there.
Yeah. Star Wars fans, Ahsoka 2 series, season 2 officially confirmed now. Filoni's working on development of the second season, and The Mandalorian and Grogu are headed to the movie theaters. Starts production in 2024. Jon Favreau and Dave Filoni and Kathleen Kennedy are going to be the producers on that. So, that's cool. Don't fly in a 737 MAX 9. The doors fly off. Sky Parade at Paris debuted this week. Looks awesome. It is drones plus fireworks, which is pretty awesome. And the fireworks are in the drones. So, pretty amazing stuff. You can go over to Scott Gustin's Twitter page to see that, if you want to check that out. Good to Go Day start appearing on Thursday for Disneyland, or Disney World. Good to Go Day means an AP can enter any of the 4 theme parks that day without a park reservation. New Pixar short, The Marvels, worst Marvel movie ever made. I really feel... Oh, the other thing. If you are flying Southwest, are planning on flying Southwest between now and early July, they are doing a deal where select flights are 40% off. So we just rebooked our flights out to Anaheim. Or no, back from Anaheim from $229 to $118.
That's a difference.
Yeah. Yeah. So book January 9th through 11th. So the next 3 days. Fly between the January 30th and the 22nd of May. So, and it's kind of broken down like by day on how much off the flights are. So like Monday through Wednesday are like 40% off, and Thursday and Sunday are 35% off, and yeah, it's kind of tiered like a resort discount at World. So, anything else that you're seeing, hearing?
I'll be honest with you, I am super busy, so not more than what you said. Oh, there were some travel deals that dropped at the later part of last week, so the website was crazy busy over the weekend with people booking and rebooking and other stuff like that. Essentially, there's deals now, like a bunch of deals through basically like August at this point, September on a couple of them. So, reach out, and if you have a vacation booked already, maybe go and check it out. If you don't have a vacation booked already and you're thinking about going, I'd love to work with you. Definitely have, like, in the next couple of weeks, if you want to go for spring break, in the next couple of weeks you want to get booked, because your 60-day out window is going to be happening here in the next few weeks. So if you're thinking about going for spring break, now is the time, not in a month from now.
Correct. And with what he's saying, correct me if I'm wrong on this. So World, at 60 days, you can book from your arrival date all the way through your vacation. But at Disneyland, you can only book day by day.
I believe that's right, yeah.
I went on yesterday, and there was a day. I went on today, there was a day. I was like,
yep.
Well, this is kind of stupid. I'd rather do it all at once.
Yeah, and you're kind of a gray area because you are not technically staying on site, but you are staying in a good neighbor.
Yeah.
So I believe if you stay on site, you get the 60 days for the whole vacation.
That would make sense.
Yeah, but you definitely have a vacation package, but you're not at, in the same way Disney World does the same thing. There are some of their good neighbor hotels that get all of those perks, and some of their good neighbor hotels just offer you the ability to combine it into a single package.
Makes sense. Well, that's the end of news. It's time for top 3. Are you ready? Do you even have a pen, paper?
I did do that.
Jeez, at least you have something. Here we go.
Very little going for me.
Business trip.
Did the people move around?
It does tingle a little bit. What's going on, everybody? It's Matt with the DPI podcast. Over on the other screen over there is Peter with Princess and the Mouse Disney Travel, and it is top 3 time. If you've been here before, welcome back. If you haven't been here before, we're going to pull a chip out of this bag here. It's not a Crown Royal bag. We're going to match it up with a category. We are going to give you our top 3 or our bottom 3 of that category. So let me go ahead and pull a chip out here. I'm actually like prepared and everything for this. Ooh, it is number 25. and it actually focused on it and everything.
It did. This was really impressive. This is the pinnacle of our production.
Okay, we're going to go a little personal here. We're going to go with your top 3 trip memories. Good luck.
Oh, top 3 trip memories.
You got 30 seconds.
Thinking about taking a trip to Disneyland, Disney World, maybe a Disney cruise, or one of the other amazing Disney destinations? Contact me at Princess of the Mouse, and I'd love to work with you on your itinerary to the most magical places in the world.
You can contact Princesses and the Mouse Disney Travel on Facebook at PATM Disney Travel. All right. Wow. Wow.
You okay?
Yeah, I'm trying. So I know 2 and 1. 2 and 1 are no doubters.
All right, I'll start with number 3 so you have time to think.
Yeah, I'm trying to think of number 3 here.
Okay, I'm gonna cheat on number 3.
You always do.
Well, here's why. Okay, so let me just tell you my number 3. Okay? So my number 3 inevitably happens at least once a trip, which is why it's my favorite thing, but pinpointing a specific day, a specific location, a specific trip is not possible. But at least once per trip, at least, if not more. It might be a lot of times it happens during fireworks. A lot of times it happens while watching a parade. A lot of times it might just happen when we're just like sitting at a table in Epcot, enjoying a sampling of some food from booths. It might happen while we're at Oga's Cantina. But at some point, at least once per trip, I will just get a rush of like, I can't even describe it. I will just get an overwhelming wave of just satisfaction and like joy as I'm holding my daughter and watching a parade, or have my arm around my son as I'm watching the fireworks, or we're sitting at Oga and or sitting out next to the lake in Epcot, wherever it is. At least once per trip, I will get this just sheer calm and contentment and peace and joy for my family being around me and being in this moment together and being fully present together. And I know that's kind of cheating, but that is one of my top 3 favorite Disney memories, is that every trip, that experience will happen at some point. There's ups, there's downs, there's highs, there's lows, but there is just a moment where my heart is as full as it can possibly be as a dad.
Yeah.
Spending time with my family.
It's that escape. When you finally hit that escape where everything else is just gone, and you've hit that moment where you can be fully invested in that moment.
Yeah, and if you want me to give 3 other things, but I'm happy to do that. If you want to give your 3, and then I'll give a different 3.
No.
But like, that is why I keep going back. And people who don't get that don't get it, and there's nothing I can do to possibly describe it to them.
Yeah. I mean, and I know exactly what you're talking about, because they're inevitably sometime during our vacations, I get that same feeling where it's just kind of everything else is kind of left. All that worry, everything that Walt wanted the parks to be for happens. And it's an awesome feeling. It's an awesome feeling. No, that's a good one for the top 3, because I think if you're doing Disney right, you get to that point at some point in every trip. If you're looking at Disney as a chore, as something you have to do, you're probably never going to get to that point, because you're always worried about something. So yeah, no, I get what you're saying. I get what you're spitting there. All right, My number three. Okay, so my number three is we spent Christmas Day at Magic Kingdom. And it was a surprise trip. We spent Christmas Day at Magic Kingdom. It was the coldest Christmas in Florida in 20 years. I think it's still been the coldest since. It was all of like 37 degrees in Florida. You don't pack for Florida in 37 degrees. Luckily, we had our Disney sweaters with us, our Christmas sweaters with us, that we figured we were going to wear in the morning and just strip off. And no, we're throwing stuff under it. We've got jeans on. We're trying to find stuff that we can layer under our jeans. It was frigid cold. But we did park open to park close. I mean, this was during COVID, so they had the restrictions, so it wasn't terrible. But at park close, they stopped doing the dream lights for COVID, but we took a strand of Christmas lights, and one of my battery packs has an outlet on it that we could plug the Christmas lights in, and we did pictures with the kids with Christmas lights in front of the castle when it was doing the new projections. And I think that's one of the coolest things that we've ever thought of and ever pulled off at the parks. So that is my number three, is we did Christmas photos with Christmas lights in front of Cinderella Castle on Christmas Day. So we're all Christmased up.
Yeah,
So-
that is definitely a good one. I had a similar experience. My daughter and I went down for a birthday trip for her, and we wore a pair of sweatpants and a hoodie to the airport, and that ended up being what we wore the whole trip.
Yeah.
Because we packed, like, I looked at the forecast and I was like, oh, but 50 in the Florida sun will still feel good, so we're good with shorts. And no, because it wasn't Florida sun. It was like 50 and overcast the whole day. So, and it was windy, so it was like real feel 42. And I'm like, oh my God.
Yeah. No, I completely understand. Okay, let's go ahead and let's get to our number twos.
Okay, so for my number two, it is going to be an actual specific memory. And again, I can, if you want me to do my number, do we need to do a number three? Was mine just a teaser to the entrees?
No. I think your number three is good, because I think that's a really good point to bring up for people that are planning Disney vacations, that you have to get to that point. If you aren't getting to that point where you actually escape and get away and it's actually a vacation, it's not a vacation and you're not doing it right. So no, I think your number three was fine.
Okay, so my number two, my number two and one could be like interchangeable. Honestly, they're just both such primo memories to me. But I'm gonna go with my number two. We were in Akershus, and gosh, at this point, it has been 4 or 5 years, at least. My daughter's first time to Disney when she was like 11 months old. I think this happened when she was 2. So it's got to be like 6 or 7 years ago at this point. Okay. So we're in Akershus. Akershus is relatively new. And so if we look at the opening date of Akershus, we can place this better because it was definitely in the first year of Akershus being a thing. So Akershus is open. We book at Akershus. We're so excited to get Akershus. And it's a princess dining. The food is fantastic. But as the princesses go around, they are just enamored with my little girl. Right? They're just gushing over my little girl. And fast forward to Snow White coming over. Snow White spends so long at our table talking to my daughter, which has got to be annoying for that actress because she has to talk in that high pitch, little whiny voice. Your camera died also.
I know, I saw it.
So you take care of that while I keep talking. So Snow White spends forever there, and then as she is leaving, she kisses my daughter's forehead and leaves a big old red set of lips right there on my daughter's forehead. And fast forward years later, and we're there again, and we're going to meet Snow White, and Addie goes, oh, she kissed me here. Like, as like a 5-year-old, she remembered this like 2-year-old memory, and that right there, like the remembering of it and the original event, just have grained themselves as like when she remembered that Snow White kissed her on her forehead, and when Snow White kissed her on her forehead, like a little yellow ball spit out of the thing, and it was bright and it was vibrant, and it got sent into the offshoot. Like, it was just, that's an Inside Out reference for those of you that, well, call you a fake fan.
Yeah.
You should have, not to be insulting, but like do better. So yeah, that is going to be my number 2. It was such an amazing memory, and it was relatively early on in our Disney journey, because we really started to go into Disney when my daughter was like 11 months old, and she is turning 9. So we have been hard going to Disney for 8 years now. Mm-hmm. And that was relatively early on in it. And it was one of those things that, like, I'm going to keep coming back. My number 1 is also right around that same time frame. So
yeah, my two are separated a little bit. So my number 2, October of 2018. And this trip was the first big trip that I've ever booked by myself. So first big family vacation. It was like the all out, we're going to do everything that we can, spend a ton of money. And one thing that we did is we did the family portrait session at Magic Kingdom. And part of the family portrait session at Magic Kingdom is you get to go in the park even before like the advanced dining reservations that are early entry to the park. We had to be at the park at like 7:15. They let us in. It was us, it was the janitorial staff, and 2 photographers. That was it. And we went up and down Main Street. We went over into the entrance of Adventureland. We went to the little side street on Main Street. Took pictures. We ended up with like 300 pictures for the session. But in that session, there's a set of pictures with the kids with their ears on. So the first set, they were all like hair done, and we did our castle pictures and all that kind of stuff. Well, later in, we let them take off their not comfy shoes and put on Disney tennis shoes and their ears. And they've got these pictures together to the left of the castle that are just the awesomest thing in the world, because it's just them, you know, chilling out, hanging out together at Disney, the only ones in the park, and just kind of living their best Disney life. Ears, shoes, all that kind of stuff. And the grins in some of these pictures, because, you know, Allie and Braden have a really good relationship, were fantastic. So, you know, my number 2 memory is from that photo session, and just kind of some alone time for the kids, but just kind of what happened in that exchange. So yeah, great thing to do. They're doing the mini packages again. I'd love to see the bigger packages come back, but if you've got some extra money and want something cool to do, those photographers there get amazing shots that are absolutely fantastic for photo books, walls, whatever you want to do with them. So definitely worth the investment in that. So that is my number 2. So let's go ahead and let's get to our number 1s. Peter, before you give your number 1, where can people find you?
Facebook is the best place. We talk about it every one of these top 3 episodes. Find me on Facebook, Princess and the Mouse Travel. You'll see me and my family standing in front of Expedition Everest. I keep talking about how I have to update that photo, so maybe someday I will.
I was going to do it over Christmas break.
Yeah, I could have, but I didn't. But I could have. No, sorry, it's not a Disney movie. So anyway, yep, find me. Like I said, right now is the perfect time to get those March, April, May trips, and even like pushing out into fall break and start getting those things planned as well. And before I do my number 1, I am going to double back to my number 2 and my number 3, because that moment I started thinking about this, my last trip, my most recent trip, and I was like, but when did that happen during that trip? So we were at the candlelight processional when it happened at the last trip. I mean, I was like near tears with just beside myself, the beauty of the moment, my family sitting around me. And the reason why it came up in my number 2 and why it all jogged my memory is because I did the candlelight processional dining package at Akershus this last time. And so they all tie together. We went to Akershus, we got the candlelight, I got that euphoria, I got that amazing feeling. Good times. So number 1, I think I've talked at least once, if not more times on this show about my number 1 Disney experience. And this was when I knew my yearly monetary planning budget had to include $5,000 to $10,000 or more towards Disney World. Was when it's around the same time, so somewhere around 2018-ish, 2019-ish, during one of those trips, my kids, especially my son, really big pin traders. We're in Animal Kingdom. We're waiting for our free Fast Pass return time. Just to steal a part from earlier in the show.
He's not bitter at all.
No, he's fine. So we're waiting for our free Fast Pass return time to Expedition Everest. And we have like 15 minutes to kill. So my son says, let's pin trade. I say, absolutely. We pin trade with the cast members inside of that shop. We start walking around. If you're familiar with Animal Kingdom, outside of that shop, outside of Everest, it's pretty slim pickings. And so we're walking kind of around that little central island where they have the monkeys, up that side chute to go to Kali River Rapids. There is a janitorial member standing there. And we just go up and say, hey, do you have any pins? She goes, no, sorry, I don't carry pins. I normally do. I'm so upset that I didn't carry them today. Oh, man. I go, yeah, it totally makes sense. It was earlier on in the day. It might have been like right when Flight of Passage opened to where we had already done that. I don't know. All the nitty gritty details of all of this. But I remember interacting with this cast member. In fact, her name was Patrina. Yep. So the cast member's name was Patrina. And I remember going back like the next trip, going to Animal Kingdom and saying, hey, is Patrina working today? They said, yeah. I found her and said, hey, I just wanted to thank you again for this amazing experience. So her name was Patrina. It's been like 6 years and I remember this cast member's name. So she says, no, I'm so sorry. I normally carry my pins. Are you doing anything right now? I was like, we have like, I don't know, 15-ish minutes where we're just, if we don't get this, we're probably just going to go sit in that little amphitheater waiting for this. And she goes, okay, hold on a second. She goes over her radio and she just starts calling people's names out. And I'm not making sense of any of this. And she just boom, 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 just like rattling off these names. And they're responding. And I'm not really hearing all of it because she kind of takes a few steps away to not be rude and all of that stuff. And she kind of steps back over to us after I hear it all. And she goes, so if you have a little bit of time, follow me. I go, okay. So we're just like, shooting stuff, walking. We walk around the front of that and we go over to the bridge that comes from the central Discovery Island right there in front of that tree by Yak and Yeti. Right. Yeah. So that's the bridge that we're at. Right by now it's Feathered Friends in Flight, the Up Bird Adventure. So back then, whatever, it was not that. When we get there, there are easily 10 custodial staff members standing lined against the side of the bridge. All of them holding their little flap thing filled with pins, and they're just holding it out as my son walks down each and every single one of them doing whatever trades that they want to do. At the end of this line is a dress clothes, Florida casual dress clothes individual who is clearly a custodial manager. And he goes, hey, I want to trade with you too, but I don't actually want any of yours. And he reaches in his pocket and he pulls out like an official $12 pin and he goes, yeah, I found this earlier and I was waiting for the right kid to give it to, and you're that guy. And hands him this pin. He says, my son immediately starts to give him one. He's like, I don't want any of yours in return, bud. just have an amazing day. We're talking to this manager this whole time while my son's slowly working his way down this line of pin trades. And this guy's asking us, like, how often do you come here? And I'm like, oh, we just started coming recently. We've realized how much we love this place. He asked us things like, what are your kids' favorite things? Where are you staying? All of this stuff. And we're just having a casual conversation. I don't think anything of it. So if that experience wasn't amazing enough, we then go through our whole day and we get back to our room at the end of the night. And on my son's bed and on my daughter's bed, there are Rice Krispie treats and Mickey suckers and a stuffed animal of, I think it was Baymax for my son and maybe Ariel for my daughter. And like all of this stuff just like sitting on their bed. And that experience, I will never forget that experience. And it is the reason why I continue to go back to Disney time and again. And I'm so glad that the Make Magic is starting to come back, because it was completely ripped away from these cast members during COVID.
It was.
I'm so excited that cast members are able to start pin trading again, because cast members want to make the magic. And that's what has been very much missing 2020, 2021, 2022. The cast members were, and the cast members will tell you this too, they were starting to get jaded and upset because they can't interact and have the same amazing experiences with the guests that they used to be able to.
Correct.
They were feeling more and more like they're just coming in, punching a clock, and getting a paycheck.
Yeah.
And that's not what working at Disney is about. That's not what going to Disney is about. So I hope they continue to enable the making magic moments for them. So clearly something came in through the chat, Shannon.
Peter's kids got all that. We can't even get adjoining rooms at Pop Century when we requested a year in advance. She's not wrong.
It was like 6 years ago, though.
All right. No, yeah, you've talked about that a couple of times, and that's fantastic. And it goes back to the cast members are the ones that make the magic. I mean, my number one is a cast member. It was our first trip right out of the gate. You want a hook, line, and sinker a family. This is how you do it. So
Disney, pay attention.
Yeah. So we had a travel agent do our trip. It wasn't the greatest plan in the world.
Not me.
Yeah, not Peter. Not Peter.
Caveat, not me. It was before I became a travel agent. Not me.
So this would have been 2013, and daughter was about 2.5. 2013? Yeah, 2013. And so we have this big long trip. We went to Universal. We went to SeaWorld. We did days at Disney, all this kind of stuff. We didn't do Magic Kingdom until like the 4th day we were there. That's how weird this trip was. So the night we're at Magic Kingdom, we do Royal Table. We are the last reservation at Royal Table. Last reservation at Royal Table was at 10:15 or something, and you check in a half hour before. So we check in right before the fireworks, and then you go into the little downstairs room, and you're waiting to get your picture with Cinderella, and the fireworks start. So we get our picture with Cinderella, and we're kind of watching the fireworks out the back stained glass of this little room at the bottom of Royal Table, and Cinderella walks over, and we start talking, and she's talking to my daughter. I'm holding her up, so we're watching the fireworks together. Wishes was a 15-minute-ish show. Other than Cinderella saying bye to a couple of families as they left, my daughter and Cinderella had a 15-minute conversation prior to us going up to eat at Royal Table. My arm was about to fall off, but I was not going to let my child drop any in this conversation. And it was everything from why isn't your prince here? Well, he's doing paperwork over in the other buildings. And I mean,
What an
a
answer.
2-year-old talking to Cinderella for 15 minutes. I mean, it was the greatest thing in the world as a dad. And like I said, it was a cast member that took the time to find somebody and make magic happen. I mean, just like in your story, it was the same thing. A cast member went above and beyond what they would normally do and just made you feel like you were the only ones there. That's what the Cinderella did for us. And it was a moment that I will never forget. Like I said, we've got it on video. I cry when we watch it. It's one of the coolest things that has ever happened in my life. And, like I said, we didn't spend anything extra on it. We didn't spend, a cast member didn't, upcharge us or something for something. It just happened. They came and it happened, and it was organic and it was awesome. And in the end, that's what the Disney experience is about. Is these cast members go out of their way to make kids and families feel special. And it helps you get away from the normal BS that you're going through day to day. And it's that escape. It's that place to come to kind of get away from the rigors of the real world. And if it's adding to your rigors of the real world, just step back and let the magic happen. So, Peter, great top 3, man. If you're gonna stick around, we will do a Disney deep dive. If you need to tuck in the kids, go for it. We're running a little long tonight. That was a intense top 3, so
I'm good. Wherever you want, man.
All right.
I'm here. It was day 1 of school today. I don't have any work to do yet.
All right, sounds
I
good.
did all the work getting ready for today, and the kids are now starting to do the work after today. So,
all right. Well, if you guys want to stick around, those of you that are watching, we are going to do a Disney deep dive. So stay tuned. Cinderella story, yeah. Hey, if you want to check out the Cinderella story, check out our top 3 that we just did. It's going to be our top 3 Disney memories. It is Disney deep dive time. We have got Peter with Princesses of the Mouse Disney Travel. I'm going to pull a chip out of here. I'm going to give Peter about a minute to figure out category number 18, and that is going to be not up on my screen yet, so give me 1 second. Deep dive topics, category 18 is... Oh! We actually just talked about this one jokingly. Disney's Pop Century Resort. It's time to deep dive. Welcome to Disney Deep Dive with the DPI podcast. I've got Peter from Princess of the Mouse Disney Travel over on the other screen. He's cracking up. So, Disney's Pop Century Resort, the place where you cannot get adjoining rooms no matter how far in advance you book them. That's what we've got tonight. It was just a great coincidence that this came up. So, Peter, why don't you start about, let's talk about where Pop Century is and kind of what type of hotel Pop Century is.
So Pop Century is located in I'm going to call it the Hollywood Studios Resort area. I believe technically, if you look it up, it's going to call itself the Epcot Resort area, but it's closer to Hollywood Studios. So it's kind of over there in that would be southeast corner of the property is where you will find Pop Century.
Yeah.
Pop Century opened in 2003, specifically December 14th. And what you're going to find at Pop Century is you're going to find 2 room types. The first room type is going to be a 2-queen room, where one of the queen beds is set, and the other queen bed is actually a table Murphy bed, where you have a table with 2 chairs, and if you move those 2 chairs out of the way, you can pull the Murphy down, and you have a full queen. So it's like the same mattress as the other bed, very stable platform. So please don't hear Murphy bed and like imagine rickety, rusty spring thing going. Like,
no. Great bed.
It's not what this is. This is like a straight up second queen, but in the interest of space, they fold it up into the wall. You know, on the opposite wall from where the beds are, you're going to have a dresser with a TV. And if you go through to the back of the room, you are going to have a restroom area. You will have a vanity area with a closet to the left. There will be a pull screen that can pull across that area, that kind of like powder room area.
They've got full doors now. Full doors. Sliding doors.
Oh, you're right. They have the sliding door. It's no longer the no longer the shower curtain. So full pocket doors that pull across that area to kind of give you the privacy. And then beyond that, inside of that area is a doorway that takes you into the toilet and the shower area, which has a normal door that's able to be locked and stuff like that for your privacy as you shower and go the number 1 or the number 2. So that's where Pop Century is, and those are kind of the rooms. Outside of the queen room, they do also have a very small number of king rooms where same kind of idea. You have a small table, but you no longer have that Murphy bed because you just have a big king bed taking up a substantial part of the room. I'm going to stop there and see what Matt wants to talk about next with Pop Century, because that answers where it's located and kind of what type of hotel it is. So, Matt, what would we like to talk about next with Pop Century Resort?
All right. Well, I'll talk a little bit about where it fits into the spectrum of Disney and then the theming. So, Pop Century is considered a value hotel. On the value side, it is kind of on the top side of the value price range, other than the suites over at the All-Stars and at Art of Animation. So you're looking right around $230 to $260 a room. Can get down to about $200 with deals and that kind of stuff. You have balloons. I have no clue how that happened. It's like every so often, I don't know. So value resort. But the thing that this has over most of the value resorts is 2 forms of transportation. So with 2 forms of transportation, you get the buses and you get the Skyliner on the backside of the resort, which is really nice. The theming of the resort is just like it says, Pop Century. So it's built into century buildings from the 50s through the 90s, and each building has things to reminisce about that decade, whether it's music lists or toys or just pop items from that era, and they tie that all together in the main building, which you have just cases and cases of relics from all of these different decades. And you got a gift shop, you've got your dining hall, which will have your normal moderate and value dining hall that has multiple stations, has cold cases, that kind of stuff. It does have 3 pool areas. You have your main pool, the Hippy Dippy pool, in the middle. And then you have 2 smaller pools out to the outsides, towards the end buildings each way. So, relatively large layout for Pop Century. So, again, just like your most of your value resorts. When you get dropped off at either the front with your buses or the back with your monorail, your location is not monorail, Skyliner. Your location is very key. So you're really trying to get those 60s or 70s buildings. Those are your centrally located buildings. Everything else kind of sprawls out from there. Peter, let's talk a little bit about where does it fit in kind of that hierarchy of hotels, because this is, for a value resort, it doesn't feel like a value resort.
Yeah, and just to to expand on some of the things that you said and then answer that question, one of my favorite things about Pop Century, and this will then take me into that hierarchy, exactly what you were talking about with the pop culture things. One of my favorite things about Pop Century is that every building on the side where there's the exterior stairwell, you have some type of a poppy thing. Maybe it's a yo-yo, maybe it's an 8-track tape, maybe it's a Rubik's Cube. It's just really, really kind of fun. As Matt said, small pool over by the 50s building. You move through the 60s and into the 70s. And the bus depot goes from the main building towards the 60s, which is why that works out really, really well.
Yeah.
Past the 70s building. 70s building is where you're going to find that main building. It's where you're going to find the hippy dippy pool. So exactly what it sounds like. It's just flower power, baby. There is a pool side bar called the Pedal, and or Pedals. And then past that, you get into the 80s and the 90s building. And then there's a small pool. I believe it's called the Commuter Pool, is over in there's a bowling pin pool at the 50s and then the Commuter Pool at the 90s, or maybe flip those, but whatever.
Yeah.
You technically have names. Very small theming though. Flower Power Pool. Just to talk about the Hippy Dippy Pool, nothing to really write home about though. It's just decor, and as all of your value resorts go, they're really just a big hole of water.
Yeah.
This one does have a little bit of nicety just past the pool. There's just a small little splash area with a few spraying flowers and, yay high deep water in that little inner area. So that is nice for really little ones to kind of run around through. So Matt asked about the hierarchy, and I definitely want to talk about that because he kind of alluded to this. This is my go-to value resort.
Yeah.
Right? Absolutely, hands down. It's a little bit pricier by about $30 to $40 a night, but if you're on top of your deals, you can get it down into the low to mid hundreds per night, and it is absolutely worth it, because the worst thing about the 5 value resorts is the bus line, because the 5 value resorts are the biggest as well. There's just tons of people. They're really spread out. Now, technically, things like Caribbean Beach and Coronado are bigger in terms of like spacing and stuff like that. But these buildings have 4 levels of floors, room after room after room. They have that exterior entry. So think kind of like Super 8 Motel 6y look.
Mm-hmm.
But still very nice, well-appointed rooms. They've been redesigned and refurbished. They're wonderful rooms. But if I'm going to pick between here, Art of Animation, or the All-Stars, I'm going to pick here for a standard room.
Yeah.
Because Hollywood Studios and Epcot are on the Skyliner. That is huge to get away from the bus traffic, because these buses at all the value resorts, there's a single pickup and drop-off location. So even when you talk about things like Caribbean and Coronado and Saratoga and all those, like, they have multiple pickup locations. So none of the pickup locations are crazy overrun. In the busy parts of the day, they run different bus lines to those different areas of the resort.
Mm-hmm.
Pop Century, nope. All-Stars, nope. There is a single queue, and everybody from the resort that's going to that park is in that queue. Yeah. So I have stood in lines for the Pop Century Magic Kingdom bus that, I mean, I was like 5 buses deep when I got into the line.
Yeah.
You know,
Well,
now
and I think that's one of my greatest Disney stories is we were there the week after the parks reopened for COVID, and we were in the Magic Kingdom bus line for 22 buses.
right, because they were low on bus numbers. So what I was about to say in that topic is normally Disney's really good. They have a transportation director that'll say, hey, the line's really long. They'll send in a big accordion bus or whatever. Yeah. But yeah, during then,
nope.
Like,
they were putting like a third of the capacity on it. You weren't standing.
Oh, that's right, because you can only put like 20 people on a bus back then. Because all of the dividers and all of that
we
stuff.
We were wrapped around the numbers. We were back up into the porta coach for the other buses. It was a zoo. It was crazy.
So that experience is no longer a normal experience, just for the record. But yeah, Pop Century in the hierarchy of hotels, if you're going to stay at a value, I normally, when I'm talking to clients, once I figure out what tier of hotel and what amenities they're looking for, if value is what we settle on, if you're just looking for a place to lay your head, you cannot go wrong with the experience at Pop Century that you're going to get. One fun fact, if you will, allow me.
There you go.
Art of animation.
I was going to hit on that if you didn't.
Okay. So feel free to expand on this, so I'll just kind of lightly hit it. The bridge, as Matt talked about, there's the main entrance where the buses are and where luggage services are. There's the main building that's got the food and guest services and all that stuff. And then basically if you walk straight from that building past Hippy Dippy Pool, you get to the Generation Gap Bridge over the Hourglass Lake. So yes. Hourglass, when this building was first designed in the early 2000s, they dug out this lake to look like an hourglass. They created a bridge called the Generation Gap because on the other side, they were supposed to do 0s through 40s.
Yes.
And the Pop Century Resort was supposed to be a dual resort with the 50s through the 90s on one side and the 0s through the 40s on the other side. And then you'd have this Generation Gap Bridge. Well, as we know, in the late 2000s, we had this thing called a recession. And so all of that stuff went to a grinding halt. They said, nope, let's not develop that land. And by the time things geared themselves back up in the early 2010s, they said,
Nemo happened.
Yeah, they just said, let's just scrap all that. Let's go ahead and make this thing that celebrates our animation. Yeah. And they created Art of Animation over there, which opened in 2012. But ultimately, so if you look at the rooms at Art of Animation offers two double rooms and suites. And so the original plan was we would have 2 double rooms, we'd have 2 queen rooms, we would have king rooms, and we would have family suites, and they would all make one resort.
Yeah.
They still did that with the room types over at Art of Animation, but they scrapped the 0s through 40s, which I think would have been so cool.
Yeah, it would have been all in black and white.
Would have been the raging 20s.
Yeah.
Right? Like, if they literally pulled the footprint and set it over there, the middle of the resort would have been the raging 20s.
Yeah.
Like, that would have been so cool to see imagined out.
No, that's one of the cool, like, if you really look at some of the Disney history, that comes up a lot, how that building and that structure kind of changed. But yeah, no, Art of Animation, another great resort, and we'll hit it. It'll probably replace Pop Century in this slot.
Makes sense. We need to replace a value with a value.
Yeah. So no, Art of Animation right across. So if you have, larger families and you're doing your own rooms and they want to do Art of Animation, Pop Century is right across the bridge. Makes a lot of sense. You can walk between the two, meet in the middle to get on the Skyliner to go to parks. Makes a whole lot of sense from the agent side, doing it that way as well. So utilizing those family suites, all that kind of stuff. So we'll get to all that when we do Art of Animation. But no, like Peter said, hierarchy definitely number one in my value resort category. We're not doing an all-star later this year. We were going to do an all-star, and we ended up doing Riverside because we got the bounce back. So we will be able to do one of these on Riverside here real soon. But Pop Century, great resort. Peter and I talk about it a lot as the number one value resort for us. 2 modes of transportation. A lot of theming if you're into that pop culture type reference stuff, but not like over the top. Once you get into your room, very clean, very subtly Mickey'd, because you have like the Andy Warhol type Mickey print in the room and that kind of stuff, and that's about it. So, no, really.
Sorry.
This is a deep dive for a reason. We're finding all kinds of stuff.
Yeah, I'm just like you're talking and I'm listening and digging. I'm trying to find a comparative thing real quick before I tell you about this. Oh, where the heck is it? Come on. There we go. So here is why the buses thing. There are almost 3,000 rooms at Pop Century. 2,880 rooms at Pop Century. Contemporary, on the other hand, arguably one of the bigger deluxe resorts, 655.
Yeah.
Right. So again, and if we look at the All-Stars and stuff like that, I'm sure we're going to find, similar things in terms of room numbers and things like that, which is why having that single mode of transportation is really, really a big deal breaker as to why Pop Century, the fact that they put Pop Century and Art of Animation on the Skyliner is huge.
Well,
almost
tips,
2,000 rooms at All-Star Movies, which means there's 2,000 rooms at all of them.
Yeah. And tips for the transportation at all of these resorts, at all of the values. Parks open an hour before. Our buses run an hour before park open. So plan on moving towards the line an hour and a half before park opens.
Yeah. I'm a big fan of leave the room about an hour and a half before, grab something at the quick service on your walk through, maybe even like send one of the parents straight out to the bus line while one of you sit down with the kids and maybe snack the food away, bring the breakfast sandwich out to the one waiting at the line, and then, yeah, exactly what Matt said. Or on the flip side of that, I'm going to counter that. Wait until about a half hour to 45 minutes after the park opens.
Yes.
And
flip it on the way out. Either, leave the park early or just linger, take your time. Buses are going to run an hour after park close. Just take your time and get out there.
Yeah, especially at Magic Kingdom, either you got to leave before the fireworks, about 20, 30 minutes before the fireworks, or you might as well just stay till the place closes, see the good night, the goodbye kiss, yep, and grab some treats at the confectionery before wandering your way out there.
Yeah, there's plenty of things to look at. There's plenty of things to kind of keep your attention as long as you don't have kids that are just dying on you. Take your time, walk out later.
But then they're going to die out at that bus line, and I swear you're going to be far more miserable than you would be dying in the park.
Yeah, exactly. So, no, there's our deep dive tonight. That is Pop Century. We will kind of scrub this up, throw some B-roll in it, and make a nice little episode out of it. So, Peter, thanks a lot for joining us for this. I'm going to go ahead and get into our outro. Hey, we had Peter with Princesses and the Mouse Disney Travel join us tonight. We had 2 weeks worth of news, a top 3 about our favorite trip memories, and a deep dive on Pop Century. for us on social media, you can find us a lot of different places. The easiest is going to be over on Facebook at DPI Podcast for the podcast, at PATM Disney Travel for the travel side. You can also go over to Twitter at Disney Insights. That's where I do a lot of my back and forth with a lot of our fans. And then we have the YouTube channel and the Instagram account you can check. Thank you guys for liking, sharing, watching, listening, subscribing, all the other things that you guys do to support the channel.